You're 17, kneeling on the floor of your bedroom, swapping a GFCI outlet to save your father a $200 service call. 12 years later, you cash a single storm season check for $300,000. Between those two moments sits a trade that loses 23.7 workers per 100,000 to the job, and a hurricane economy that paid CenterPoint Energy $1.2 billion to put Houston back together after Beryl. This is every level of a lineman in America, and what it actually costs to climb. If you like breakdowns of how careers actually progress, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Level 1. The Bedroom GFCI. You're 17. The bedroom outlet upstairs has been tripping for a week, and the electrician your father called back wants $200 to walk in the door. You watch a YouTube video twice. You walk down to Home Depot, and you come back with a GFCI and a clamshell, a pair of Klein pliers, and a Klein wire stripper. Your father stands in the kitchen and tells you to kill the main breaker before you touch anything. You kill the main. You pull the dead front off the panel. You photograph the line and the load with your phone before you disconnect a single wire. The neutral pigtails. The hot lands on the load side of the new breaker. You seat the breaker, throw the main, and press the test button. The receptacle clicks dead. You press reset. The light comes on. Your father nods once and goes back to his coffee. You stand there with the orange Home Depot bucket at your feet and the Klein Cat number stamped on the plier head, and you understand that you just made $200 in 40 minutes. The carpentry job your guidance counselor pushed you toward suddenly feels like a long way around. You start watching the bucket trucks on your street differently. The next time the power flickers in a thunderstorm, you walk outside to look at the pole, ready for the next rung up? Level 2. The Line School. You drive 14 hours to Trenton, Georgia, to the Southeast Lineman Training Center. The financing paperwork on the table reads up to $27,745 through Ascent. You sign it. The program is 15 weeks, 320 field hours, and 180 in the classroom. Day 1. You stand in a yard of treated yellow pine poles with a kid from Alabama and a kid from Maine who has never seen red clay before. The instructor hands you a pair of Buckingham aluminum climbers and a 4D body belt. You strap the gaffs to your boots. The first time you set them into a pole, the steel bites the wood and the pole groans, and you hold on. The creosote smell gets in your hair. By week 3, you're climbing 40 feet, throwing a hand line over a crossarm, tying a bowline on a bite one-handed inside a leather glove. By week 8, the test is the pole top rescue. They tie a 150-pound dummy to the crossarm and start a stopwatch. You climb above the Hurtman, you secure your own belt, you rig the hand line over the crossarm with 3 half hitches, you cut his strap, you lower him to the ground. The instructor, Class 75 graduate named Isaac Archer, had run this same drill on this same pole, clicks the watch, and reads the time without looking up. You passed. The orange safety shirt comes off the rack. The pole circle bond patch goes on your sleeve. You graduate on a Friday. Monday you're at an IBEW hall asking how the book works. The cost is real. The bite of the gaff in your shin is real, but the patch on your sleeve is yours. Level 3. The Apprentice. You walk into IBEW Local 1245 in Vacaville, sign Book 1, and 7 months later your name comes off the bottom. The first step apprentice rate runs 60% of the Journeyman scale. For the California Outside Line Agreement, that's about $40 an hour the first year. You're issued an apprenticeship card, a Klein hot stick, and a hard hat sticker that says Step 1. The first morning you ride out with a 4-man crew to a service replacement in a subdivision east of Granbury, Texas. Your foreman, a 30-year IBEW outside lineman named Colin Brignola, doesn't shake your hand. He hands you a 4-foot Klein digging bar and says go find the bottom of that pole. You spend the first 6 weeks below the conductor. You dig holes. You set anchors. You frame poles on the ground. You learn the difference between a hole dug to specification and a hole dug to make a foreman move on. You learn that the auger on a digger derrick is faster than your back. And you learn to keep your head out of the swing radius. By month 4, you go up. The first time you frame a crossarm, 30 feet up. Bolts, washers, the brace pinned through with a heel to toe. You forget that the conductor 12 inches off your hard hat is energized. You reach for a hot stick out of order. Brignola sees it from the bucket below. He doesn't yell. He just locks eyes with you and shakes his head once, and the entire weight of his career hits you in the chest. 3 weeks later, you're sitting in the cab of the truck reading the switching order out loud before you set a single tool. You backfill, you tamp, you push out new line. You log every hour. The first step paychecks clear a 10 to 99 contractor at about $16.15 a week. You buy a used F-150. The Klein wire stripper from your bedroom is in the top drawer of the box on the bed. You move up the book. Step 2. Step 3. 6.5 years and 7,000 hours later, you sit for the Journeyman exam. Level 4. The Journeyman. You pass. The wage card on the IBEW Local 1245 wall now reads $67.30 an hour straight time for the California outside line journeyman lineman, plus health, plus pension. You are issued an All-Tech 60-foot insulated bucket truck and a partner. Your shirt is now a Bulwark FR. Sleeves rolled to the cuff because the 6-month re-electrical retest stamp is still wet on the cuff. The work changes. You are no longer the kid digging the hole. You are the senior hand on the truck. You tailboard the crew per 1010.269. You call the clearance. You confirm the minimum approach distance for the voltage class on the line. On a 7,200 volt single-phase residential lateral, that means roughly 2 foot 1 inch of air. On a 46 kilovolt sub-transmission, you back off to 3 foot 2. You are the one who climbs above the bucket, hangs the hot stick, sets the cover up, and breaks the connection. A 25-year journeyman in Pacific Gas and Electric named Travis Paduano told a Bay Area paper, after his crew restored a flooded substation, that the work has to be exact, every time. That is the standard. You wake up at 5 in the morning, and you make sure the standard goes with you. You are also now the one who walks down the easement at the end of a job and looks at every connection you made. If something is wrong on this line 3 years from now, it is on your sleeve. Level 5. The Traveler. You take a Book 2 ticket, and you go where the work is. The PG&E T-Line journeyman scale is $71.97 an hour, and the per diem on a contractor traveling job runs $100 to $150 a day on top. You drive 1,400 miles to a staging yard at the foot of a 500 kilovolt transmission line for a PAAR electrical job. The walkthrough takes 40 minutes. The tailboard takes another 20. You suit up in a stainless steel weave Faraday. Nomex over the top, hood zipped, cuffs taped. The pilot lands the long line on the gravel pad. You ride the skid out to a tower at 230 kilovolts. A journeyman named Shane Bender at Western Area Power Administration once told a reporter that as a society we depend on electricity every moment of the day. You think about that as the rotor wash hits and the suit hums against your skin like insects. You extend the wand. The initial arc cracks across the gap, and the suit equalizes to line potential. You bond on. You step off the skid onto a live conductor 100 feet over a hayfield in Wyoming, and the sound stops being weather and starts being current. A soft, even audible buzz of charged air on a steel weave. You install a damper. You replace a damaged spacer. You bond off. The bird returns. You stand on the gravel pad with your hood off and the WAPA mutual aid badge clipped to your belt, and you do not say a word. The pilot lifts. The next tower is half a mile up the easement. You eat a sandwich on the tailgate. The crew chief signs your timesheet. The per diem hits your account that night. You are Book 2. You go where the work is. Then a tropical wave comes off the African coast in late June, and the storm desk lights up. Level 6. The Storm Purse. The mutual aid call comes in at 3 in the morning. CenterPoint deployed about 12,000 outside workers for Beryl. Duke mustered roughly 25,000 for Helene. You roll 1,400 miles to a staging field at Sam Houston Race Park in a fleet of trucks with Pike electric stencils on the doors. The yard smells like gasoline and mud and generator exhaust. The host utility foreman tailboards 60 hands at once. You are assigned a circuit in a flooded easement east of Houston. 16-hour shifts. Straight time 8, time and a half through hour 16, double time on the 7th consecutive day. You replace broken poles. You sister the leaning ones. You restring primary. You set pad mounts on residential laterals. You log billable hours on the FEMA timesheet at the end of each shift. A 55-year-old CenterPoint lineman from Evansville named Eric Trice told the Texas Tribune the same week. We're in storm mode, and we just keep going. That is the whole job description. The yellow mutual aid wristband stacks next to your wedding band. The trade press pegs storm weeks at $13,000 to $14,000. You stack Beryl, then Helene, then Milton, back-to-back through the fall. The check at the end of the season clears for $300,000. You drive home to your wife with the Klein wire stripper still in the top drawer of the toolbox. She doesn't ask what it cost. She doesn't have to. 12 years from the bedroom GFCI to the storm purse. The $200 service call your father almost paid is the unit the whole ladder is denominated in. 1,500 of them, stacked end to end, is the check you just deposited. The hot stick that kicked in your hand at level 3 is in a rack on the truck behind you. The Klein wire stripper you bought at Home Depot at 17 is in the top drawer of a toolbox that has crossed 11 state lines. The Faraday suit hangs in a gear bag in the garage. The yellow barrel wristband is in a drawer next to your apprenticeship card. 6 weeks on the road, every fall is what it costs, and you would do it again. The kid down the street is 17, and his bedroom outlet keeps tripping. He watches a YouTube video twice. He walks to Home Depot. He comes back with a GFCI and a pair of Klein pliers, and his father shows him where the main breaker is. You see him on the curb on a Saturday morning, sitting next to an orange bucket, and you remember the weight of the pliers in your hand. You wave from the truck. He waves back. The keys are on the hook by the door. And they're yours.